if you're a woman or you're a man and you are carrying church on your head and you're ignoring your family, you will end up one day with a broken home, and you'll be the leader of a church. You'll be a church leader, or you'll have a broken home, and you will not have the boldness to go and ask God why. Everything in life has a time. Anybody that is telling you that when it's exam time, you don't just ignore God, you're not ignoring God by dedicating time to study your books. No, you are not. God expects you to do the right thing at the right time. Harvest time, people harvest. Planting time, people plant. When it's time for church, that's why even in the Bible, God saved the Sabbath day. Any other thing we are doing to gather in church and all that, it's not like it's bad. If you have the time, you can do it. But God dedicated only one day. 6 days are dedicated to work, and only one day is dedicated to rest. So today I wanted to share a quick true life story with you, something that happened to me as a young Christian girl during my university days. And why I want to share this story and many other stories that I'm going to be sharing on this channel from now on, is because I see that many young Christians don't really have someone to guide them or show them, how to live out this Christian life. You see, some people, they give their lives to Christ and they become so zealous, so passionate, they want to show their devotion to God, and they begin to make wrong choices that, ends up ruining their lives or derailing them from whatever plan God actually had for them. For example, you see people saying, you know what, I've given my life to Christ. I'm not going to school again. I'm going to go out there and start preaching, on the streets. And some people will be like, Jesus is coming very soon. You know what, I'm not going to even work. I'm just going to be going to church or maybe going out there to preach. And it's not like maybe going to church or preaching and all those things are wrong in themselves. But if you see how these things work out, you realize that such kind of decisions will only end up, ruining the person's life. And a lot of people, I've come across some of them on social media, and they become very agitated and bitter towards God, and they keep saying things like, I did this, gave my life, I used my life to serve God, but he abandoned me. But that is not really how it works. So I want you to understand that giving your life to Christ is an exciting thing. It's a right decision to make. But how can you use that decision to make meaningful choices in your life that can actually make you to thrive, to excel as a Christian? How can your Christian faith, where does it, merge together, with the day-to-day things and the realities of life? So that is what today's story and other stories are going to help you to begin to understand. And so I'm just going to go straight to today's story. So as a young Christian, I gave my life to Christ at age 13, but then I got into university at age 17. I was really young. And when I got in there, I made up my mind that I was going to, show that I can be a Christian. I can avoid engaging in exam malpractice and still come out with a first class. So why this was important to me was because as a younger person, before I gave my life to Christ, I was learning how to, do exam malpractice so that I could excel. And of course, I knew it was wrong, but I saw every other person doing it. So under peer pressure, I started doing it. But around the age of 13 plus, as I mentioned, I gave my life to Christ. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I used to see some other Christians doing it, and they're like, you have to do this to excel. But I said to myself, no, I believe that as a child of God, I can do better. I don't have to engage in all these things that make me ashamed of myself, that make me to be looking around like a thief. So it was important to me, and I followed that my decision all through the rest of my high school days, and it worked out for me. I excelled. I came out with high grades, and I'm like, if they think it's only going to work in high school but it's not going to work in university, I am going to be the proof that I don't have to engage in malpractice to excel even in university. And not only that, I'm going to come out with a first class. So first semester, I worked a bit hard. I love reading already. I just did my regular stuff, and I came out with a 4.1 GPA. I'm like, wow, I can actually get this first class because I've not even put in all my best, and I'm coming out with 4 point something GPA. So second semester, I worked a little bit harder, but things were obviously getting a little bit harder too. The stress of school life and all the rest of them. And I came out with a 4.0 GPA, which was also okay for me. And then by the time I got to, I think my third semester, I did quite well as well. But I was sick, so I came out around that 3.9 something. But I'm like, okay, second semester, second year, I'm going to do better. So, but then By second year, I said to myself, I've not been going to youth fellowship that much. I go to church on Sundays and that's it. I want to get more involved in what is going on in the church as a youth, because I used to be very dedicated back home, in my home church. And by the time I decided to sign up for the youth fellowship, that was the time that they were planning a mega youth convention for all the youth of that church. And so I got so excited. I'm like, I'm going to join the drama department. And then I made the mistake of thinking that that is the best way to show God my devotion. It's not like that it's bad to join the drama department, but I forgot the Bible verse that says that there is a time for everything under the sun. There's a time to die and there's a time to be alive. There's a time to cry, there's a time to laugh. There's a time to hug and there's a time to refrain from hugging. And in the same way, there is a time to study and there's a time to go for fellowship. But I didn't understand that I needed to maintain balance. I even started hearing testimonies back then. People would tell you how they were so dedicated to God. They don't even really have time to read their book. They'll be carrying, music instruments and chairs and all that, to go for, so that they can set it up for fellowship, and how God miraculously made the lecturer to, mark something and they got A's and all that. I'm like, oh wow, then let me put myself all in and serve God. So what I was doing, I would just go for lectures, but while I'm there, my mind is on, you need to go for fellowship. Fellowship is coming. You go and see the brethren. And so once lectures are over, I quickly dash to my hostel, have a quick lunch, and then I go straight to the youth fellowship program, and we would keep learning and practicing, and it was so much fun. I love acting. It makes me happy. But I wasn't dedicating enough time to my studies. And do you know what happened? At the end of everything, we presented the drama. It was amazing. It was awesome. I made new friends, which was good. But then I got the lowest grade ever. I got to like a 2.2 GPA. And I couldn't believe it. I was flabbergasted. I was overwhelmed. I was frustrated. I was disappointed in myself. And that was when I started asking I was like, but God, why? But then, after being a little bit angry towards God, I couldn't even get myself to do that, because I like to use my sound mind. I just told myself the honest truth. I didn't manage my time well. And at the end of that encounter, unfortunately, I had to spend the rest of my school year, the rest of my years in school, trying to fix what that particular semester did to me, the poor grades and all the rest of them. I kept struggling and struggling, but sad to say, the higher you go, the more difficult it becomes. And I just barely managed. I got a 3.4 something. That was what I ended up graduating with. Although my testimony was still sound, in the sense that I never for once engaged in exam malpractice. But then it wasn't such a strong testimony, because back home in my home country, Nigeria, everybody's like, you have to have at least a 2-1 or first class for them to regard you as having accomplished anything in school. And so my testimony was not that strong, in the sense that I wasn't able to graduate with the first class, which I knew I had what it takes to accomplish. So why am I sharing this story? I just want you to know that as a Christian, as a young Christian, there is time for everything. Anybody that is telling you that when it's exam time, you don't just ignore God, you're not ignoring God by dedicating time to study your books. No, you are not. God expects you to do the right thing at the right time. Harvest time, people harvest. Planting time, people plant. When it's time for church, that's why even in the Bible, God saved the Sabbath day. Any other thing we are doing to gather in church and all that, it's not like it's bad. If you have the time, you can do it. But God dedicated only one day. 6 days are dedicated to work, and only one day is dedicated to rest. So it's a call for you. If you have made your life all about going to church, and like I said, it's not like going to church is bad, but if you are beginning to lose your balance, whether it's as a family man or a family woman, all you have on your head is church, you have to be careful. If you're a woman or you're a man and you are carrying church on your head and you are ignoring your family, you will end up one day with a broken home, and you'll be the leader of a church. You'll be a church leader, but you'll have a broken home. and you will not have the boldness to go and ask God why. Everything in life has a time. So your takeaway from this, or what I want you to take away from today's story, is learn how to balance time. There is time for everything. There is time for self-development. There is time for everything. And if you don't do the right thing at the right time, when it is time for other people to be rejoicing and celebrating, you'll be waiting for God to deliver your own on a platter of gold, and it may not happen. And I don't want that to happen to you. So thank you for your time, and I hope to see you in my next video. Please feel free to share your experience in the comment section, or if there's anything you just want to comment on what we've talked about today, feel free to tell me in the comment section, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.